Hi Year 10, hope you're all safe and well. Week 2 of our remote learning. Hopefully you enjoyed week 1. I'll say what I said at the start of last lesson's PowerPoint. This, for some of you, may be just a recap. If you've completed some of the tasks that I put onto the system over the last few weeks, this may just be a recap for you where you can add some information onto what you've already done. And this information is then going to go on top of what you did last lesson to complete your first learning objective of your assignment. Remember, that is out of 9 marks. So today we're going to look at leadership styles. Last week we looked at the different types of leaders, the roles and responsibilities they should have as a leader, and the personal qualities they should show to be a good leader. So this week we're going to be looking at leadership styles, and there's 3 styles that we are going to look at. So, leadership styles. Not all leaders operate in the same way. Different types of leaders suit different situations, and different aspects of your own personality will have an effect on your style of leadership. There are 3 main leadership styles: an autocratic leader, a democratic leader, and a laissez-faire leader. Now we're going to look at all 3, and you can make notes on the information that's on the PowerPoint. You can obviously stop the PowerPoint at any point to add to the notes that you've already got in front of you. The basics are in your fact book, but if you can add on to that, that would be amazing, and also it will help you to complete your assignment. So, autocratic leader there. This is someone who takes charge. They will not give any responsibility out to anybody else. If the style is often used when coaching children, it's easier for the leader to maintain control of the session. So as a PE teacher, for example, if I'm teaching javelin, this is the leadership style I will imply into my lesson, because number 1, it makes sure everyone's safe. Number 2, I am in control. And number 3, students know that I am in control. So it is effective for quick decisions, when quick decisions are needed, or if you're in a dangerous situation or a life-threatening situation. So any outdoor adventurous activity, so that expedition leader that we looked at last lesson, this is the sort of leadership style they would take as a leader, because they need to be in charge. They need to make sure everybody is safe and nobody is in danger, and everybody knows who is in charge, what's happening, and what they need to do. So participants not encouraged to make decisions for themselves. Focuses on group performance and achieving goals. So there's a goal at the start that needs to be achieved by the end, and the leader is going to take responsibility for that. As I've already said, I'm not going to go through all of these. If you want to stop the PowerPoint now, and then you can make some additional notes. A democratic leader then often delegates responsibility. So if you've got a group where you know they work really well together and they know what the task is in hand, you might give them a little bit of responsibility. So again, as a PE teacher, what I might do is I might put one of my really good groups into smaller groups, and I might make one student a leader. And that way I am the democratic leader. So I'm looking over everyone else, but I've got individual leaders that are taking on a responsibility. So shares decisions with the group. Everyone is consulted before a decision has been reached. It's interesting, more people involved. It gives ownership of the task to some individuals, and groups will work harder and develop unity and common purpose. So they're not just listening to somebody droning on about one particular aspect. They're getting involved together. They're coming up with their own ideas. So that is a democratic leader. So it's effective when you're in smaller groups, or you need a little bit of personal support maybe required for particular groups. So I can set a number of groups off, and then I can go and help one particular group. It makes it a little bit easier for the main leader, Now, the only weakness or the downfall of this is sometimes people can get a little bit carried away and people forget who the main leader is. So it's really important that as a leader, you make everyone aware that the overall decisions are made by you as the number one leader. Third one then, laissez-faire, okay? Commonly known as the lazy, in brackets, lazy type of leadership style, but actually can be very effective in some scenarios. So, as a leader, they would stand aside and allow the group to make their own decisions. Lewin, who was the founder of these leadership styles, found that when subjected to this style, players were more inclined to be aggressive towards each other. So if a coach or a manager just stands back and says to the group, right, off you go, this is your task, sometimes there can be a loss of direction. People can give up easily. People can get aggressive when lots of people are putting their own ideas and decisions into one outcome. There is no particular leader really in this style, and it can make it a little bit tricky and a little bit more tense, and often does end quite badly if you just allow people to go off and do their own thing. There needs to be some sort of authority. There needs to be some sort of task or an outcome that needs to be overlooked by the overall leader. So, can still be used as an effective leadership style depending on the group you have in front of you. So, examples then. I've come up with some examples. You hopefully can come up with some of your own. So, a democratic leader then. Before a game, a player may have some ideas or suggestions for the coach or manager which can be discussed and listened to. So, as a leader, the coach or manager may say, right, what do you think? How can we improve? Anybody got any suggestions? That is giving some of the ownership back to the players. That is a democratic leader. Autocratic then, like I've already explained, when teaching javelin, a teacher would use this approach to make sure their lesson is safe. It prevents students messing around and gives strict guidelines. Laissez-faire leadership style. If a group of footballers are working well on a particular task and coming up with their own ideas, the leader may leave them to get on with the task on their own. Remember, that is okay if they are working well as a group together. There needs to be some sort of stability within the group to make sure that everybody is progressing and working on something together. So I would pause the video now and get those examples down. As an extension, can you think of a second example for each leadership style? Off you go. Okay, second task. What style of leadership would be most effective in the following situations and why? If you have a printer at home, and you don't have to, but if you have got a printer at home, if you can screenshot or take a picture of this and print it out, and then you can obviously write round each of the pictures. It's not a requirement though, so if you haven't got a printer, don't worry about it. You can just write personal trainer and what type of leadership style they may use. Now, each one may use a different leadership style depending on what their scenario is. So you need to make sure that you explain which leadership style they are using and why. Okay, so the gymnastics coach, for example, they're autocratic leaders because they are helping. They're not giving them any leeway. They are helping them because the activity is dangerous. Okay, it's got high risk. Can you, for each picture, write the leadership style that they might be showing or they could use, why it is effective for that particular leader, and make sure you write in full sentences, please. So each one of you might have a different reason as to why you've used a certain leadership style. But as long as you can explain it, that's fine. Off you go. Please can you send me what you have completed in regards to this particular task, just so I can see that obviously everyone's on the right lines and what you are writing is correct. Task 3 then. For the 3 leadership styles, can you give me one strength and one weakness of the leadership style? I have spoken about some strengths and some weaknesses, and if you go back through the PowerPoint, there is some on there. But can you come up with one strength and one weakness for each leadership style? Off you go. Hopefully you've come up with something. So, a democratic leader then, a strength of this style, it makes people feel part of this decision-making process. It's not that there's one person being really, really bossy at the front of the group. Lots of people can put in their own impact into the session. The weakness, though, can be slow to make any decisions. If lots of people have got lots and lots and lots and lots of ideas, then the main task may be forgotten and it can be a little bit of a slow process. An autocratic leadership style, the strength, decisions are made quickly. They're short, they're sharp. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. Off you go. Weakness, people feel their opinions do not matter. That person can be seen as a very bossy person, could be a little bit aggressive. People might think, oh, what's the point of putting my decision in? It's not going to make any difference. So again, a weakness of the autocratic leader. Laissez-faire leadership style then, the strength is a very, very relaxed atmosphere. Creates no stress. Everyone just gets on with their own little task. Weakness, as we've already said, hard to know who's in control. Things might not get done in the way that you want them to as a leader. So it's really, really important that as the main leader, you are giving out the start and the end positions. Where do you want your group to be? Hopefully you've got some of those down. They are in your fact book. If you've got something different, great. Again, if you want to send that to me, that would be even better. So, can you on this activities you completed last lesson, can you now add this to your examples? So last lesson I asked you to give an example of a good coach, a good teacher, a good manager, a captain, an expedition leader, a role model. Can you now go back to that piece of work that you have completed and add in what type of leadership style they use and why? Or they may use and why. As long as you can link it to a particular activity, that is great. When you've put all that together, that completes your first learning objective for the unit, for the assignment. So if we can get all that into one Word document or written down on a piece of paper. So what is a leader? Talking about the 6 different leadership positions, their roles and responsibilities, their personal qualities, the different leadership styles, and giving good examples explained on a piece of paper, on a Word document, whatever, however you want to set it out, is totally up to you. That would be amazing. Now, don't forget, I am available to chat on a Thursday on Microsoft Teams. So if you've got any questions, if you want some help with anything, get on there and I will be on there and I will chat straight back to you, or as quickly as I can. Hopefully that has all made sense. Hopefully that was just a recap for the majority of you. I will see you next week. Goodbye, stay safe, enjoy.